Cuba America, the Cuba American Jewish Mission, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting with the revitalization of Jewish life in Cuba and to working to improve the physical and spiritual well-being of the Jews of Cuba. So Rabbi Schnitzer connected us with the Cuban Jewish community and gave us medical supplies and cash for their free pharmacy, which services both the Jewish and non-Jewish communities. After meeting with the Jewish community leadership and spending Shabbat, a Shabbat led by their teens, we developed a strong sense of solidarity with the community there. Even at that time, Cuba was suffering from the American reimposition of harsh travel restrictions and the embargo. But since then, the community has been through much more hardship. Since this is both an educational and fundraising event, I'll put the link to a donation page in the chat. And whatever funds we collect will get to Cuba the beginning of February, which is excellent because it's hard to get things to Cuba. So with that, Rabbi Schnitzer.
Thank you, Devorah, and thank you, Jason, for setting this up. Thanks to Rabbi Werbo. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. As Devorah said correctly, I am the executive director of the Cuba America Jewish Mission. This is my wife, Rebbetzin Yafa Schnitzer, with me this morning. We've been going to Cuba since 2003. And let's see, I know I've made 21 visits.
Você tem interesse? Eu posso desligar o headphone se você quer ouvir.
Momento, Roberto, silêncio su microfone, por favor. Gracias. Okay, anyhow. Where was I? Oh, okay. So I've made about 21 trips to the island. My last in November of 2019. As we all know, come February, March of 2020, that's when we went into pandemic shutdown. And everything we've experienced here, you have to multiply 100-fold in Cuba. I was at the store yesterday at the grocery store and remarked when I came home that all of the shelves looked like I was in Cuba. I walked past the milk section, there was no milk. I walked past the produce section, the shelves were empty. Cubans do this every day. And right now things are in more dire shape than ever. We are certainly having shortages of even the most basic foodstuffs. People wait in line all day for a little chicken or some cooking oil, only to find out by the time their place in line comes to the front in the afternoon, and they've been there since early morning, that the shop is now out. The sort of deprivations that Americans can only imagine. And add to that now cash shortages because remittances from the United States to Cuba were cut off during the Trump administration and have yet to been reinstated. It's a very difficult time in Cuba. Here at the Cuba America Jewish Mission, we've been doing our very best to funnel as much aid in cash and pharmaceuticals in particular that we can, but supply lines are stressed. We have to go through third countries. It has been a lot of work to get a little bit in, but right now with David here and with the help of some other friends who are bravely soon going to Cuba, we have an opportunity right now in this moment to funnel increased aid to restock the free pharmacy at the Patronato, which David will tell you about. So to introduce David quickly, David is the co-president of the Jewish Communities of Cuba. Adela Dworin, who some of you know, is nominally a titular president still, but the day-to-day operations are handled by David primarily, as well as Myra Levy over at Synagogue Centro Sephardi. In this particular moment, David has been working overtime to take care of the community, to take care of our seniors, to make sure that people at least have food. David kind of rose up through the ranks as a member of the community. I remember meeting him for the first time when Dr. William Miller was still the president of El Patronato in the Jewish communities, and has become a friend And we have quelled and had members of his family stay with us here in Reston, Virginia. Jesse visited us a number of years ago, his daughter. And so he's a brother, a friend, and a great leader. And so without further ado, let me turn this over to David Prinstein.
Thank you.
And Rebecca, of course, Rebecca Prinstein. I cannot forget Rebecca because she's the one doing all the talking.
Thank you, Ravi. Gracias por esa introducción. Creo
Un
que
placer, amigo.
abarca en gran medida mucho de lo que vamos a presentar. También Débora hizo una introducción prácticamente muy apegada a las cuestiones que vamos a mostrar hoy.
Thank you so much, Rabbi and Deborah, for your introduction. We're going to offer you a presentation about the Jewish community.
No sé si estaremos listos ya o
Are we ready to start?
falta alguna persona por incorporarse.
Is someone else missing? Are we ready to start?
Yes, yes, you can go ahead. Thank you.
¿Estamos listos?
Yes, sí,
¿Comenzamos?
sí, sí, sí.
Buenos días, chabú a todos. Buena semana. Gracias a todos por su presencia, especialmente a todos los que organizaron este encuentro para que podamos exponer de manera breve sobre la comunidad judía de Cuba.
Good morning, Shavua Tov. I wish you all have a good week. Thank you so much for your presence, and especially thank you for those who organized this meeting so that we can present you about the Jewish community of Cuba.
Me hubiese gustado que este encuentro fuera presencial. Nada como vernos las caras y que los ojos muestren y expresen lo que realmente queremos decir.
I would like it to be face to face, nothing like seeing each other's face and what the eyes can express. Please forgive me for any mistakes.
Seguimos, estamos en contacto. Ahí está bien.
Mhm.
Bueno, como les presentó el rabino Sonny Schnitzer, soy David Prinstein, vicepresidente primero de la Federación de Comunidades Religiosas Hebreas de Cuba. También soy vicepresidente primero del patronato de la Casa de la Comunidad Hebrea de Cuba. Soy miembro coordinador de la Plataforma para el Diálogo Interreligioso en Cuba y también presido el Consejo Judeo-Cristiano. Sin dilatar más, a modo de introducción, hago una breve reseña histórica de cómo sucedieron las principales oleadas migratorias a Cuba para que puedan conocer de nuestros orígenes.
Without further delay, I will give you an introduction of historical overview so you can understand the Jewish origins in Cuba.
La primera y muy importante, porque fueron los fundadores de la comunidad hebrea de Cuba, ocurrió en el periodo de 1898 a 1904, durante la guerra cubano-hispanoamericana. Un grupo numeroso de judíos integraron el ejército norteamericano y concluida la contienda, muchos de ellos se quedaron en suelo cubano. En 1906 fundan la primera sinagoga en Cuba, conocida como Templo Americano de corriente reformista.
Jewish immigration to Cuba was defined at a different historical moment. The first and very important took place in the period of 1898 through 1904. These were the founders of the Jewish community in Cuba. During the Cuban-Spanish-American War, a large group of Jews joined the US Army. After the war finished, a large group of them stayed in Cuban soil. In 1906, they founded the first synagogue in Cuba, United Hebrew Congregation, also known as the American Temple.
El segundo flujo migratorio se produjo entre los años 1904 a 1917. fue una oleada de judíos sefaraditas, mayormente de Turquía. Estos sefaraditas fundan en 1914 la sinagoga Shevet Ahim.
The second migratory flow occurred between the years of 1904 through 1917. It was a wave of Sephardic Jews, mostly more Turkey. These Sephardim founded the Shevet Ahim synagogue in 1914.
Aproximadamente entre los años 1921 hasta el 1928 ocurre la mayor oleada migratoria hacia Cuba. Son judíos procedentes de Europa Central y de la Europa Oriental, la mayoría de ellos de Polonia, de Rusia y también un poco de Alemania, Lituania, Hungría y Rumanía.
Approximately between 1921 and 1928, the largest migratory wave to Cuba occurs. They were Jews from Central and Eastern Europe, most of them from Poland, Russia, also from Lithuania, Germany, Hungary, Romania.
En 1955 se inaugura el patronato de la Casa de la Comunidad Hebrea de Cuba como gran sinagoga y centro comunitario, para que los judíos encontraran no solo un lugar de rezo o asistencia religiosa, sino también un lugar de encuentros sociales, deportivos, recreativos, y hasta hoy cumple con el objetivo para el cual fue creado.
In 1955, the Patronato of the Jewish Community of Cuba was founded. It was one of the great synagogue of the community centers, so the Jews could find not only a place of prayer and also a place for social, sport, recreation. Until today, it has fulfilled the purpose of what we created the synagogue.
¿Qué sucedió al triunfar la Revolución Cubana en el año 1959? La población judía migró. De 15.000 judíos, solo quedaron 1.500. O sea, cerraron las escuelas, se fueron los rabinos, se fueron los líderes comunitarios, se fueron los maestros. En fin, se produjo una inmensa crisis existencial.
So what happened when the Cuban Revolution triumphed in 1959? The Jewish population emigrated. So out of the 15,000 Jews, only 1,500 remain. They closed the school because they became responsibility of the state. The rabbis, teachers, leaders left. So it became like an existential crisis until the latest 90s, when Judaism resurfaced from Cuba on the presence of the joint.
O sea, hasta los años 90 que se resurge el judaísmo en Cuba con la presencia del American Joint Jewish Distribution Committee, el JDC, y comenzamos un proceso de reorganización comunitaria que hasta hoy son parte del soporte principal de nuestra comunidad.
So in the 1990s, when the Judaism resurfaced in Cuba with the presence of the joint JDC, and the process of reorganization of the Cuban Jewish community began.
Les voy a mostrar un video comunitario donde recoge o promociona los principales programas y proyectos de la comunidad para que tengan una idea más cercana de cómo es o cómo era la vida de los judíos en Cuba antes de la pandemia COVID-19.
So next, I'm gonna offer you a promotional video of the community life, so you can see and appreciate our life, like in the 90s before the COVID hit on Cuba. You can see all the different projects that we had and we have.
ירושלים הולך תמיד לרחוב, יש פה קיבוץ, גלויות, אין תרבויות, לכל אחד יש לה חלום, ערבים בסדר, ערבים בחלום, פוקדים את אלוהי ההתקדם, חלק ירושלים ואחת מיום ליום, תל אביב לתת היותר, נסעו, קרבו לראש המעבור, שעדם, בינם, שבות על הסיבה, שלוש שעות מתחיל לקבל את ההחלטה, חפפים, בפחות סבטה, מלצור, להגיד בכיוון הירידה, כיוון שור החוף, ואיזה שוק, אני עומד לחטוף, ועכשיו כשאני בתל אביב סוף סוף תשתלב עם הענף הכותרי וזה טוב. אוי, כמה שדיים, מסתכלים לי העיניים, אחרי שנתיים שזום והמורה, לא מזהה את עצמי במראה. מתאמן, מתמזג, משחק עם כל הבעלים של הדיסקוטקים, עכשיו שאני מבין, זה לא נותן כמה רעש, כמה תן לי שיטה לי, כל היום מתפתחת שלום, עשרות פה, הלכו בשגרון, ואז נפל האסימון, יאללה, היה לי בידיים. שלוש שנים לקח לי לקבל את ההחלטה, הורס את החדלים לתוך המזוודה, מהעיר לעצור לכיוון ירושלים. חזרתי לירושלים, הוא אחוז, טוב זה בדוק, תן לי רוגע, תן לי שקט, לא יזיק איזה פיוק. מתי פעם אחרונה שמתי איזה פתק בכותל, השקעתי באוכל, עשיתי חברים חדשים, העיר הזאת תחזיר לי את השליטה בחיים, נתערבב עם עצמי במקום לערבב מים, נשום קצת אוויר, הרים צלול כיין, יאללה בית"ר, יאללה חיים בכפר, העיקר להיות מאושר.
Please unmute David. David, we cannot hear you. Please unmute your microphone.
Creo que el video les ha mostrado, me parece que el video les mostró
Bueno,
evidencia la vida de los judíos en Cuba. Les vamos a mostrar ahora cómo estamos organizados. Tengan una idea de cómo responde la estructura de la Federación de Comunidades Religiosas Hebreas de Cuba.
Now we're gonna show you how it's the structure of the community in Cuba.
La Federación de Comunidades Religiosas Hebreas de Cuba está integrada por 2 sinagogas de La Habana, el Patronato y el Centro Hebreo Sefaradí y la Logia Bnei Brit.
So the Jewish community of Cuba, it's a structure as follows.
También la integran la comunidad judía de Santa Clara, representando las pequeñas comunidades de Cienfuegos y Santi Espíritus, y la comunidad judía de Camagüey, que está ubicada entre el centro y el oriente del país, y la comunidad judía de Guantánamo, en representación de las pequeñas comunidades del oriente del país, que son Santiago de Cuba y Granma.
So we created an organization named Federation of Hebrew Religious Community of Cuba. It is made up to 2 synagogues in Havana, El Patronato, the Sephardic Hebrew Center, and the B'nai Brit Lodge. It is also made up of the community of Santa Clara, representing the small communities of the center of the island, the Jewish community of Camagüey, which is located between the center and the east of the country, and the Jewish community of Guantanamo, representing the small community of the eastern part.
Todas las comunidades de la isla, tanto las de La Habana como las de las provincias, se destacan por celebrar todo el Shabbat, festividades, conmemoraciones, todo lo referente al calendario hebreo y a la vida tradicional como judío.
Each of them celebrate Shabbat holiday, bat mitzvah, and everything related to traditional life as Jews.
Ahí vemos a nuestro amigo ya siendo un miembro honorario de la comunidad hebrea de Cuba, nuestro amigo el Rabbi Zuni Snitzer, con unos años menos, pero ahí muestra los muchos años y el tiempo que lleva trabajando y apoyando a los judíos de la isla.
As you can see on these pictures, these are a few of the activities that we do on the small provinces, and also you can see the rabbi, the bottom in the corner. He looks younger, but like you can see by the age he has been working in the community for a long time.
Una de las cuestiones más importantes que el rabino Snitzer no solo enfoca su ayuda a La Habana o al centro más grande o más importante de la isla, la ayuda del rabino y de Bethesda y de la Mission que él representa, ayuda prácticamente a toda la comunidad de la isla.
The help that he offers to the community is not only in Havana, which is the headquarters, he offers his help in the small states, like provinces as well.
La logia dentro de la federación, la logia B'nai Brit, además de los encuentros, enfoca su ayuda en un proyecto denominado Sedacá y ayuda esencialmente a las personas con mayor necesidad y con mayores problemas.
As part of the federation, the B'nai Brit Lodge, in addition to its meetings, focuses on helping people with difficulties. They have a project named Sedacá.
El Centro Hebreo Sefaradí tiene dos importantes proyectos de repercusión social dentro de la comunidad. La muestra La Shoah, donde es visitada por diferentes grupos de turistas y es visitada por escuelas y centros de trabajo de la capital. Y también tiene un proyecto de adulto mayor, donde acoge entre 25 y 35 personas, adultos mayores, 3 veces por semana, y se integran a talleres de manualidades, arte, literatura, paseos, en fin, tienen una vida bien activa y bien unida.
So the Sephardic Hebrew Center, it has 2 important community and a social impact project. As you can see, they have an adult workshop and also they have a Shoah museum. The museum is an exhibition at Shoah, where it's not only visited by different groups of tourists and humanitarian missions that visit us, but also it's a study center. They also have an adult workshop, elderly care project, which becomes, they welcome 3 times a week, 25 to 35 older adults. They're integrated into different workshops, craft, art, literature, and much more.
La comunidad religiosa Adat Israel no forma parte de la Federación de Comunidades Religiosas Hebreas de Cuba por ser la única sinagoga afiliada a un movimiento religioso, pero sí se integra a las comunidades judías de La Habana en comisión coordinadora para los temas de los cementerios con la Hebra Kadichá y la carnicería kosher de los judíos.
The Adat Israel religious community, it's not part of the federation because it is not only Orthodox synagogue and it's affiliated with religious current movement, but it is integrated as part of the 3 synagogues in Havana. It is in the coordination commission for issues related of the butcher shop, graveyard, as you can see on the pictures.
Y el patronato, como les mencioné al inicio, como gran centro comunitario, como sede de la comunidad hebrea de Cuba, agrupa a más del 95% de los programas y los proyectos comunitarios. Ellos, o sea, la sinagoga Templo Bet Shalom, como gran sinagoga o sinagoga insigne para todos los judíos, tanto en Cuba como fuera de Cuba, congrega semanalmente entre 80 y 130 personas. Y cuando hay festividades, pues hasta 350 y un poco más.
So the Patronato, the Jewish Community of Cuba, which as I mentioned at the beginning, in addition to being the headquarters of the Jewish community, to date fulfills the purpose for which it was created. It has 97 community programs and projects. It's in charge of all the legal procedures, visas, importation. They have different programs, and we can find as well the Bet Shalom temple there. And as a synagogue, it gathers between 80 to 130 people every week for Shabbat, and for festivities up to 350 people approximately.
Entre los programas o los proyectos más importantes que tenemos es el programa médico farmacéutico, o sea, una farmacia comunitaria. Farmacia que es atendida por médicos judíos cubanos que dedican tiempo para poder clasificar y organizar y entregar los medicamentos tanto a la población judía como a la población no judía.
Counting on a community pharmacy, this is one of the programs that we have, pharmaceutical medical program. So it is attended by Cuban Jewish doctors who voluntarily dedicated time to the classification and delivery of medicine to the Jewish and non-Jewish population. This pharmacy, which has been nourished since its foundation by the different groups that visit and take time to take this medicine and basic medicines to like our synagogue, because these medicines are hard to find in local pharmacies.
Estos medicamentos son medicamentos que desde sus inicios se fueron nutriendo, o sea, la farmacia se fue nutriendo desde sus inicios de las visitas de los grupos que iban en misiones humanitarias a conocer la comunidad hebrea de Cuba y llevaban todos esos medicamentos que ustedes ven.
So as you can see on the pictures, these pharmacies are full of medicine. This is just to let you know, it's before COVID, because this medicine they were brought to Cuba by the different groups from the United States and other countries.
Hoy día esos estantes están vacíos totalmente.
Now in the actuality, this we don't count with this kind of medicines because we're not receiving this help.
Entre los otros programas que tenemos de mayor aceptación está el programa de Rikudín, las danzas folclóricas israelíes. Este es uno de los principales programas que cuenta la comunidad hebrea de Cuba. Tiene 4 grupos de baile de niños, jóvenes, adultos y adultos mayores. Son los programas o el proyecto que le da vida a cada una de las festividades y celebraciones que hace la comunidad hebrea de Cuba. Han ganado mucha experiencia en todos estos años. Han participado en varios festivales Aviv en México, participaron en festivales en Paraguay y también participaron en un festival en Israel, en el Monte Carmiel.
We have the Rikudin program, Israeli folk dances. This is one of the main community programs. It has 4 dance groups, children, youth, adults, and older adults. They are very popular since they cheer up and give life to each event, festivities, celebrations, and each Havdalah. They have participated in several international festivals, such as Aviv Festival in Mexico on 3 occasions, and in Paraguay and in Mount Carmel, Israel.
Otro de los programas importantes por su rol en la educación es nuestra escuela dominical, el Mahón Albert Einstein, nombre que adquiere a propuesta de esos mismos maestros en honor a la última escuela judía que hubo en Cuba.
We have an educational program, Sunday School, Mahon Albert Einstein, name given to him by the suggestion of the teachers in honor to the last Jewish school in Cuba.
Nuestra escuela cuenta con 14 maestros voluntarios profesionales de diferentes sectores de la sociedad. Tenemos médicos, tenemos abogados, tenemos ingenieros, tenemos profesores, tenemos trabajadores en polos científicos. Cada uno de ellos dedica tiempo para prepararse y también para poder impartir judaísmo a cada una de las generaciones.
Our school has 7 the Marine teachers, 14 professional volunteers from different sectors of society, such as doctors, lawyers, economics, engineers, teachers, workers who dedicated time to their training and preparation to deliver a full Jewish education. They also contemplate in their content classes in Hebrew, history, general Judaism, and personalized bar and bat mitzvah courses.
Tenemos dentro de la misma organización, contamos con los jóvenes, una organización juvenil, jóvenes que están muy involucrados en la vida comunitaria, jóvenes que están involucrados en cada uno de los programas y los proyectos de la comunidad, participan, son líderes de servicio religioso, ofician en la sinagoga. Esos jóvenes que participan en proyectos como el Ricudín, son jóvenes que participan en programas como las Macabiadas, jóvenes que visitan a los enfermos en los hospitales, que se integran al proyecto de atención social.
We also have a youth organization. There are young people committed and very involved with the community and all the projects, such as religious service, preparation of an organization of festivities, festival. They participate in Macabiadas. They support social care, visiting the sick people, donating, and helping them.
Les voy a hacer una pequeña anécdota fuera del libreto de la presentación.
I'm going to tell you something that happens outside of what I plan to talk.
Y es precisamente por el gran orgullo que siento en la formación de nuestros jóvenes.
I'm really proud of the youth formation in the community.
Aunque muchos tienden a ir a Israel, pero es donde quizás les corresponde estar en el momento que lo deciden.
Some of them, they want to go and immigrate to Israel. And sometimes we think that it's the place for them to be.
Por muchos años yo fui líder de servicios religiosos. Por muchos años conducía los servicios de Shabbat y siempre lo hice por fonética. Nunca aprendí hebreo, no tuve formación de base como tienen estos jóvenes hoy en día.
For a long time, I was in front of the service, the religious service, but I was always reading by phonetic. I never learned how to do it in Hebrew because I didn't have the base that these young people have now in the Sunday schools that we offer.
Y cuando hoy día en un servicio de Shabbat, los jóvenes me llaman a una aliyá en la Torá, yo estoy viendo que esos jóvenes leen Torá y leen Sidur en hebreo.
So when they call me to help them to read the Torah, I know that these young people are reading the Torah in Hebrew and they know how to do it perfectly.
Y cada una de las semanas no dejo de sentir una gran emoción en ver cómo los jóvenes de la comunidad hebrea de Cuba hoy día tienen una preparación tan grande y pueden hacer los servicios en hebreo.
And I'm really proud of them to seeing each other, like they're growing and like they know how to read and do the religious service in Hebrew.
Contamos además con una organización femenina que juega un papel primordial en la comunidad hebrea de Cuba. La vida comunitaria, no existe un programa, un proyecto que no esté involucrada a la mujer judía. El 97% del liderazgo está en manos de la mujer. Tenemos mujeres presidentas, tenemos mujeres líderes de la comunidad, tenemos mujeres maestras de la escuela. Las mujeres están en todos los proyectos relevantes de la Keilah, de la comunidad. Y uno de sus proyectos más importantes es el proyecto Jalot, donde toda la semana hacen jalá para los kiddushim y una vez por mes hacen grandes cantidades para que los asistentes a los servicios de Shabbat lleven a su casa cada uno una halá. También tienen un proyecto de manualidades donde hacen halá cover y venden a los turistas para recaudar fondos para la comunidad y así ayudan a su organización.
We also come with a female organization. The women organization of the Hebrew Community of Cuba plays a primary role in the community life. There's not a single project where the women are not involved. An interest fact, we can say that 97% of the leadership, it is in hand of women, president of community, religious service leaders, community leaders, school teachers. Among his most relevant projects, it is the Challah project. They make the Challah every week for the kiddushim, and once a month they make large quantities so each family attending Shabbat bring home a Challah. They also have a craft project where they make Challah covers and sell the tourists to raise money for the community.
Y durante el tiempo de pandemia estuvieron haciendo mascarillas para entregar a cada familia y evitar sobre todo que las personas que tendrían que salir a la calle pudieran ser contagiadas.
In this year of pandemic, the women's organization dedicated itself to make a face mask to be able to deliver above all the most vulnerable population. Remember, we don't have these stores where we can buy face masks. So these women help the community doing it themselves.
Otro de los programas que tenemos y hoy en día juega un papel elemental es el programa de atención social, Quechet. Este es un programa que tiene una atención especializada a cada una de las personas que tienen dificultades, sobre todo con temas de enfermedad. Ellos en su momento atendían, antes de la pandemia, prácticamente 36 familias. Junto con los jóvenes llevan a sus casas a culer, pamper, le llevan medicina, los acompañan a hospitales, visitan en los centros de cuando están internos, sean en asilos, sean en hospitales. Y este proyecto, lógicamente, cuando comenzó el COVID, pues abrió su abanico y hoy día atiende a más de 150 familias en toda la comunidad.
In the census of many adults and elderly, we have the Kesher Social Care Program. This is a very important program. It is main role in personalized attention to people with difficulties, either health or economic. Families are supported with Pampers for adults. They take home medicine. They take food. We go with them to the doctor's appointments. We go to the hospitals. We go and we set appointments for visitations in homes, in hospitals. And this project was one of the most affected because of the pandemic. And now from 36 families that we had, now we are attending more in their homes.
Bueno, en marzo del 2020, cuando aparecieron los 3 primeros casos de COVID-19 en Cuba, en La Habana, pues decidimos parar todos los programas, los proyectos comunitarios, servicios religiosos, toda la vida presencial para preservar la salud y la vida de cada uno de los miembros de la comunidad.
When the COVID-19 pandemic appears in Cuba in March 2020, the Jewish Community of Cuba, as the main measure, suspended all the programs, projects, meeting, religious service, all face-to-face is suspended to preserve the health and life of people.
Nosotros enfocamos y visualizamos el trabajo en 2 bloques importantes. El primero era no perder nunca la vida tradicional. Y a través de las redes sociales, WhatsApp, comenzamos a llevar todo lo que era los Shabbat, las festividades, las conmemoraciones y talleres educativos.
So we divided the work into 2 important blocks. Number one, we lead all traditional life, Shabbat, educational workshops, social exchanges, festivities to the WhatsApp platform. Remember, Zoom is not supported in Cuba, so we're not allowed to use Zoom there. This was taken so we can continue the traditions and it's never lost on the dates according to the Hebrew calendar.
Y el segundo bloque, o sea, importante, el segundo elemento importante era la búsqueda de alimentos, la organización y la distribución para la atención a las familias de la comunidad. O sea, empezamos a comprar comida como pollo, carne de res, picadillo, pescado, aceite, vianda, vegetales, frutas, leche, etcétera.
Number two, the second important step, it was like giving food to the population. We concentrate our work on the search, organization, and distribution of food to support each family month after month with food like chicken, beef, hash, fish, oil, food, vegetable, fruits, milk. As you can see on the pictures, it's the distribution of the community helping all these families.
Esto hoy día se ha convertido en una tarea bien difícil por la misma situación económica que atraviesa Cuba. Es una crisis peor que los años 90. En los años 90 era Cuba solamente la que estaba en un periodo difícil o un periodo especial, como se llama. Hoy en día el mundo se ha afectado por la pandemia y se hace más difícil en Cuba porque venimos arrastrando una economía en mal estado de muchos años.
This today has become very difficult because of the existing economic situation. We are going through a much worse crisis than in the 90s. It is not only Cuba that is affected, it's the world economy. We have been dragging as well a very bad situation, a very difficult situation, a very difficult economy for many years. And now it has been aggravating because of the pandemic issues and also of the large inflation.
Además de la pandemia, también responde a la situación económica del momento por determinados órdenes económicos nuevos que aparecen en la isla, como es la eliminación de la moneda libremente convertible. No circula el dólar.
Also, on top of this, the elimination of circulation of the dollar increased its value on the black market almost 3 times more than the value of the official exchange rate.
O sea, hay que cambiar en el banco o en las casas de cambio, se cambia la moneda libremente convertible por pesos cubanos. Y por ejemplo, lo que les traigo en la tabla, $1 equivale en el cambio oficial en el banco a 24 pesos cubanos. Sin embargo, los productos en la calle están a un costo muy elevado porque al no circular dólar sube mucho el precio y su valor está o se estima por encima de los 75 pesos cubanos. Quiere decir que está 3 veces por encima del valor oficial.
So what happened is like when he goes to exchange the money, $1 equals to 24 pesos cubano, which is the Cuban currency. In the black market, in the other hand, you can see that $1, it's going to be equal to 75 pesos cubano, which is like 3 times its value. So the thing is like when he changed the money, the community changed the money, everything, it's kind of, there no have that many options to buy because the Cuban economy is based on the value of the dollar on the black market. For that reason, everything is like rising.
Eso nos pone en una desventaja grande porque nosotros tenemos que hacer los cambios de la manera oficial a 24 pesos por $1. Cuando cambiamos $1,000, nos están dando en el banco 24,000 pesos cubanos. Y con esos 24,000 pesos cubanos, cuando vamos a comprar en la calle, los productos te lo venden al valor de 1 por 75 pesos cubanos. Quiere decir que podemos comprar 3 veces menos de lo que podíamos comprar a su costo oficial.
So the issue is that because we are an institution, we have to change the money at the bank. We cannot change it at the black market. So for example, if we want to exchange $1,000, at the bank, we're going to obtain 24,000 pesos cubano. In the other hand, if you exchange it on the black market, you will get 75,000 pesos cubano. So practically when we exchange it at the bank, we're not able to buy anything because most of the products are purchased at the exchange rate of 75 per one.
Y otra de las grandes problemáticas que tenemos es que subieron mucho las tarifas eléctricas. Lo que antes costaba, o sea, un kilowatt que pagábamos 64 centavos, hoy día pagamos a 67 pesos. Quiere decir que aumentó 13% por encima de lo que pagábamos anteriormente. Por ejemplo, si anteriormente la electricidad de la comunidad oscilaba en los 500 pesos, hoy estamos pagando por encima de 10,000.
Another major problem is electricity rates. As you can see on the screen, before 1 kilowatt, it was 64 cents. Now 1 kilowatt is 67 pesos cubano. So we used to pay 64 cents per kilowatt, and now 67 pesos per kilowatt. Like before, for example, before we pay 500 pesos cubano, now we're paying 10,000 pesos cubano.
El Estado y el gobierno han mostrado disposición y voluntad en reducir las tarifas de los costos eléctricos para nosotros por la demanda tan grande que tenemos.
The Cuban government is trying to see if they can reduce this cost of electricity just because we are a religious institution.
No obstante eso, nosotros estamos haciendo un estudio de la puesta de paneles solares para poder reducir en más de un 80% el costo de la electricidad.
Because we still haven't getting any answer from them. We're doing a study to see if we can install a solar panel so we can minimize the cost of electricity. Like we're thinking that it's gonna go down in 80%.
Evidentemente, cuando retomemos las vidas tradicionales y regresemos a las comunidades, a la sinagoga, nos vamos a encontrar que no vamos a poder hacer las cosas que hacíamos antes y con la cantidad de frecuencia. La vida se reduce de cuatro frecuencias semanales a una sola frecuencia semanal.
So because all the
Mensual.
inflation, all the inflation, obviously, when resuming traditional life and returning to the normal, we're going to find out that we're not going to be able to follow up the different programs and projects that we have as before COVID-19 stage. We will have to adjust many things in order not to lose what we have achieved. Like before we were like seeing each other 4 or 5 times a week. Now we will have to reduce it to 1 because all this cost, new costs.
Bueno, para resumir, mis estimados hermanos de las comunidades judías e instituciones de los Estados Unidos, la comunidad judía de Cuba, desde su fundación, ha mantenido grandes lazos de amistad y confraternidad con los judíos de los Estados Unidos.
Dear brothers of the United States, Jewish communities and institution, the Jewish community of Cuba, since its foundation, has maintained great ties of friendship and brotherhood with the Jews of the United States.
Muchos fueron los que nos visitaron en nuestras sinagogas en toda la isla. Los recibimos con mucha alegría y el incremento y los intercambios tuvo resultados muy significativos. Pudieron durante sus visitas apreciar las realidades en que se desarrolla nuestra comunidad y apoyaron y aportaron mucho para ese desarrollo.
Many were those visited our synagogues in the island. We received them with great joy. The increase and exchange had very significant. They have been able during the visit to appreciate the reality in which our community develops, but they have supported and contribute a lot for our developing.
Todo lo que hemos mostrado está hoy día en gran peligro.
Everything that we have shown you is right now in danger.
Esto se ha visto muy afectado con la tensión con la tensión entre Cuba y la pasada administración, dejamos de recibir visitas, dejamos de recibir grupos, dejamos de recibir personas que venían de diferentes sinagogas y de instituciones desde acá de los Estados Unidos.
This was greatly affected by the tension between relations between Cuba and the past administration. We stopped receiving visits from groups and people from different federations and synagogues, and we are very affected in this way.
No entró en los últimos 4 años, antes de la pandemia, no entraba medicamentos, la farmacia está vacía, no entraba dinero, no entraba apoyo de ningún tipo.
We haven't received practically any support. It is something that we consider to share with you, to contribute from our position so that the cooperation of all the possible exchange between the Jewish community of Cuba and the Jewish community of the United States continued. We haven't been able to receive any medicine or money. All the pharmacies empty. Support.
Creo que era un momento oportuno para poderles decir y desde nuestras posesiones poder hacer lo posible para que las relaciones y los intercambios continúen y nos puedan seguir apoyando.
This is a very important moment, so we can ask you for your help, for your support, as I've been doing on these years.
Hoy más que nunca los necesitamos, no solo a uno, sino los necesitamos a todos y a cada uno de ustedes. Am Israel, Bekua, Haim. Muchas gracias por este momento.
Today, more than yesterday, we need you, not just a few, but everyone and each of you. Am Israel, Behab Cuba. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And thank you, Rebecca, for this presentation that really tells us and brings us right up to the moment of what's happening now. I just want to stress to everybody on this call just how important David's presence is, because we have had, as he concluded his presentation, was letting you know that we've had a great deal of trouble funneling money as well as medicines and others material support to the community. Just for example, we sent a parcel of prescription medications back in the end of October, which just arrived last week in Havana through Panama. And it takes a long time to get anything there. But right now with David here, we have the opportunity to send cash directly to Cuba, as well as David will be able to carry as much as he possibly can, pharmaceuticals and aid. And also we're working on a friend of ours who is actually sailing to Cuba the 1st of February, and he too can carry items on his boat. So we're looking forward to that, but we need cash to make all this happen. I'm going to stick up in the, oh, okay, can't do that. When David finishes sharing his screen, I'll go ahead and put up again information so that you can ask more questions of me after this presentation through the Cuba America Jewish Mission. I see some questions here. I'm going to answer the ones I can, and at the same time, I'm going to turn some of this over to David. This first question from Shana Stasel, I may be more well suited to answer than David because it really is about American political policy. Most of you know that during the Trump administration, all cash remittances to the island from the United States directly through Western Union or other sources were terminated. Western Union closed all of its offices in Cuba. And so it became impossible to move money directly from the United States, even for relatives, even for family members from the United States directly to Cuba. So the only way to get money in was through third countries. I won't tell you how we did it, but Cuba America Jewish Mission was able to do it in a limited fashion through third countries. The Biden administration has not changed these policies. Also, during the Trump administration, flights were curtailed, the pandemic being an excuse completely. There are flights back to Cuba now, but in a very limited capacity and only to Havana. The Biden administration has not, to our disappointment, made any real changes. They politics of the moment in Florida really have blocked the Biden administration from taking action here. And it's been a source of great frustration to all of us. The other question I see, David will be here till the end of the month. There was another question. Oh, you went with Eddie Levy to Cuba. Very good. Eddie was Jewish Solidarity. That is correct. So anyhow, that's enough of what I can tell you. And more questions for David, perhaps?
There's another question in the chat, which is how the effort relates to the work that the JDC is doing in Cuba.
I'll take that, and I'll also let David fill in. Hopefully Rebecca will translate for David what I say. Es posible hablar en español. El JDC it's based in Argentina. And so they are able to transfer funds more directly to Cuba. And they are certainly the largest funder of the Cuban Jewish community and structure. But even their ability to make donations has been severely curtailed in this period. David, I turn it over to you.
Déjeme, sí, porque hay una aplicación que tengo descargada y según usted va hablando me va traduciendo.
He has an app as well that in the same time that you talk, it's writing what you're saying in English, in Spanish.
Quiero aprovechar, ahora que estaba hablando de los fondos directos del Join a Cuba, que hace más de 2 años que el Join no puede transferir dinero a las cuentas cubanas porque no está permitido que los bancos norteamericanos transfieran dinero a los bancos financieros en Cuba.
So it has been 2 years that we haven't been able to receive any money from the Join because remember we told you that now the dollar, it's not permitted in Cuba. So US banks are no, they cannot send the money in dollars. We can only receive money in euros.
Nosotros hemos tenido que abogar por métodos no tradicionales, pidiendo préstamos para poder cubrir la necesidad que había en la comunidad en estos 2 años.
We have been going on no traditional ways to ask for money for loans so we can cover all the costs of the community.
Hoy día tenemos una deuda grande que el Join está comprometido a cubrir en gran medida.
We have a large amount of money on debt, but the Join is going to cover it because they haven't been able to send the money.
I think we've covered every question. Oh, what is the Cuban government's view in relationship with the Jewish community? David, would you like to talk about caridad and relaciones entre la comunidad y el gobierno?
Son buenas relaciones sobre la base de respeto. El gobierno cubano, aunque no tiene relaciones con el Estado de Israel, reconoce en primer lugar la existencia del Estado de Israel y reconoce el trabajo de la comunidad judía local.
We have so far good relationships between the Cuban government and us. Even the Cuban government, they recognize Israel as a state. They don't have relationships between them, but they respect us as a community.
Nos visitó el presidente Fidel Castro en el año 1998.
Fidel Castro has visited us in
para Hanukkah en el año 98.
1988 for Hanukkah, he was there.
Nos visitó el presidente Raúl Castro en el año 2010 para Hanukkah.
On 2010 for Hanukkah as well, Raúl Castro, he went to the synagogue as well.
Y nos visitó el actual presidente Miguel Díaz-Canel en el año 2011 también para la fiesta de Hanukkah.
And the actual president Miguel Díaz-Canel has visited us as well for Hanukkah.
Y también tenemos una relación amplia y de mucho respeto y de intercambio con todos los religiosos y las instituciones religiosas de Cuba.
We have a very good relationship with all the religious institutions in Cuba as well.
Bueno, Thank you, David. Muchísimas gracias. I'm going to put up on the screen for anybody who would like more information. You have other questions you wish to ask about Cuba, something you think of after this presentation closes. This is the contact information for the Cuba America Jewish Mission in Bethesda, Maryland, cajum.org@gmail.com. Our website is www.cajum.org, and our mailing address is right on Bradley Boulevard in Bethesda. I want to thank David for being with us today. Thank all of you for being with us today and for your wonderful questions and curiosity. This community survives because of the kindness of friends. They would not, I don't think, disappear without our help, but life in Cuba is very hard, and now it is harder than ever. And it's only through David's Herculean work and the work of the members of the community that people are still able to eat and still able to keep a roof over their head. Things are pretty dire in Cuba right now with the collapsing economy. So everything you do really matters to ensuring that this community, which still has tremendous amount of pressure on it, and actually is starting to grow again a little bit as many Cuban Jews are reassociating with the community, but still less than it was even 10 years ago, smaller than it was 10 years ago. So everything you do matters. And thank you to Devorah Kimmelman-Block and Jason Kimmelman-Block, Rabbi Werbo, all the folks at Tiferet Israel who put together this opportunity for us to speak with you today.
Thank you guys so much. David, Rabbi Schnitzer, really, really educational. And we really hope that it was also helpful to you, David, and the Jewish community, Cuban Jewish community. Thanks so much for everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Sí, thank you. Muchas gracias a ustedes. Gracias por haber dedicado un tiempo en la mañana de hoy domingo.
Thank you for giving me your time today in the morning.
Gracias por haber tenido interés en conocer no solo del desarrollo de los judíos, sino de cómo se vive hoy en la actualidad.
Thank you for showing interest about our Jewish community life.
Creo que si algo nos ayuda siempre en cualquier circunstancia es que todos somos parte de un mismo pueblo.
Something that it helps is that like all of us are part of the same community.
Y nunca dejaremos de sentirnos apoyados y acompañados por cada uno de ustedes.
We're always gonna feel that you guys are supporting us all the time.
Y les agradezco doblemente porque pienso que la comunidad judía de Cuba merece seguir adelante, merece cuidar cada uno de los logros que ha tenido en estos últimos años y merece seguir adelante con las nuevas generaciones para que nunca se pierda lo que hicieron nuestros antepasados hace tantos años.
So that way we can all keep going and showing our sons and daughters the Jewish traditions, and we can keep going and growing as a community.
Muchas gracias. I think we're going to leave this channel open for a little longer. I see a couple more questions in the chat, and I think Sunny will stand and maybe David, but to answer your questions. But muchas gracias.
Gracias, Deborah.